Alright, so to bring up your character sheet, click on your avatar.
Yep.
And you should see a fairly familiar character sheet there. You've got the main tab, and then you've got a couple of sub-tabs there, move and encumbrance. To make a skill roll, or any attribute roll, or any roll whatsoever, you'll see there's a little dice icon next to the box or the number. That is just an indicator that this can be rolled. So if you can either roll by clicking on the box and dragging it to the chat window and then dropping it, or you can just double click.
Okay, drag, yeah, I understand. Yep. Right.
So drag onto the chat window or double click a little box that has a dice icon, means it's rollable. If you click on the tab that says reaction there on the main sheet, main tab, you should see there's a little dice icon there. You can just click reaction modifiers, and some of you have actual modifiers that that you can add to the reaction. In the case of Zeph, there's nothing. I'll add something to your character sheet just for the sake of it.
Yeah, something negative probably. She's got a terrible attitude.
Like I just added it twice.
Yeah, it happens. There's a modifier box down in the lower left, and it'll show which ones are active. There'll be a little bead showing at the bottom, and you can actually get rid of one by I think you right click on it or something.
Just click on the button.
You click on the little dot, we'll get rid of it. So you can see you can add modifiers simply by clicking the plus minus button, or double clicking the sort of number area, or you can even drag down to the modifier box. So you can add modifiers as needed.
I think I may have just clicked it a couple of times. Got it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. If you click it a few times, you can get rid of it by just clicking the dots as they light up. So that should all be fairly self-explanatory. If you then have a look at the traits tab on your character sheet, that just has your advantages, disadvantages, quirks and perks. That's all fairly straightforward. You'll see there's a little sort of all-seeing eye icon next to everything. If you click on that, it allows you to write a special note. So if your advantage has something specific to it, maybe it's an enemy and you want to put a description to that enemy, some detail, you can do that via the little sort of info icon, which is the all-seeing eye.
Got it. Okay, yeah.
And that's next to, you'll see that next to pretty much everything that's on the character sheet, so you can add individual notes to those.
Couple questions. For example, this character has an obsession, 12 or less, self-control roll. Character also has magery, which implies her IQ plus magery, or perception plus magery, can be rolled on occasion to detect magic. How would it make those rolls? What for those?
All right, I'll show you that when we get to the abilities tab.
Right. Oh, it's there. Okay.
Well, it's not there, but I'll show you how we do it.
Right.
All right. So the traits is fairly straightforward. So we'll go to abilities. Now you should see some sub-tabs there: skills, spells, powers, and other. Skills are just that, skills. So you can click on, if you just click on the button for the dice once, it will roll. Otherwise, you can double click on the little dice icon that is in the level column, and that will roll as well. Now you can do relative skill rolls. So if we're doing, say, I don't know, I'm looking at Zeph's character sheet here. Say we're doing something that requires an IQ-based small sword roll. What you'll do then is, instead of double-clicking or dragging, what you want to do is click and drag up to the attribute that's up the top. So you've got, strength, dex, IQ, and so on, and then drop it onto there, and that will do a relative skill roll. So traps would be one of those, for example, where you would have a perception-based traps or an IQ-based traps roll.
All right, seems to work quite well. Okay.
I drag the skill to the attribute?
Either the dice button or the level, you drag that to the attribute that you wish to make the roll on.
Drag shield to IQ. Is there an indicator that it's going to work?
I don't think so.
It should just roll for you.
Not working.
Really? You grab the little die on the left-hand side and you dragged it up.
Yeah, I did. I dragged it over the IQ.
You may be dragging it over the label. You want to drag it over the number itself, not the label.
Oh, yep. Okay.
So that's how you do a relative.
So you have to be pretty specific. All right.
Well, it goes over the number, not the label itself.
Yeah, from interface perspective, I tend to agree with Doug. It would be nice if perhaps the box of the attribute or some such thing lit up, changed highlight, otherwise indicating you had your dice in the right place.
That's something that could certainly be achieved. It's not a problem.
Can we do that?
I like that idea.
Yes, we can do. What is it? Mouse over events.
Well,
Make
there
it
is
happen, Brian.
there is a hover effect on the basic attributes, so that's already functionally there. It's just a matter of whether or not it'll work on those particular ones.
Yeah.
The
I mean,
only
it's
other-
on.
so-
Yeah. Sorry.
All right,
Just
so
say the only other thing that I would suggest in terms of this character sheet interface, which is basically awesome, is I would make it blindingly obvious what tab you're on. Make it blue or yellow or colored or something. Because, like, at least initially, it took a little bit of staring for me to realize that, oh, it's traits that I'm clicking on, or skills or abilities or whatever.
Geiger, you
That's-
taking notes?
Yeah, that's my job. Yeah, I just recently actually cleaned up the tab situation there. There
I
are
like
some
it.
limits.
I really like it. But
there are some
yeah.
limits as to what can be done there, but I may be able to make that slightly more obvious. I can at least change the color on the text. That'd probably work.
All right, so
Work fine.
moving on, you'll see there's the all-seeing eye icon there as well. So you can, if your skills have particular details that you wish to make notes for, you can just click on that and add the note. You'll see there's a little plus icon there next to it. If you click that, it opens up a modifiers section.
Aha, yeah.
And in there, if you click the little sort of brown icon, you can go add, and you can add a modifier. So if you have a particular skill that has, a range of different modifiers depending on situation, you can put your own custom modifiers in there, which you can then click on before you make your skill rolls. And you can do that for each skill. For those that have spells, is everyone cool with the skills sort of interface?
I use this every week, and I completely forget about the modifiers thing on the skills every week.
Well, it's mainly used on weapons and stuff, I guess. Alright, moving to the spells tab. Now, not everyone has spells, so only the characters that have spells will see this. So you've got your spells listed pretty much as skills, and they will roll as skills. in exactly the same way. You've got your all-seeing eye to add information. You've also got a couple of extra things. You've got the same modifier icon, so you can add modifiers to your rolls. So, things like teleport, which has a range of modifiers. You may wish to add those to your spells if you have that spell. You'll also see there's a drop-down icon. And that drop-down has details for the spell, time to cast, duration, cost, what resists, and what college, and all that sort of stuff listed there. So it's all on hand. You don't need to go looking up books or anything like that.
I have a question. It's a technical question, and I'll understand if it can't be answered at this point. But I see page reference there. And supposing my boss has said, and we really like people with their PDFs to be able to click through on the index of the PDF. Is that remotely achievable, this technology, or is it just not what this is intended to do?
If the books were sort of uploaded into Fantasy Grounds, then you could make that a referenceable click. But
okay.
at present, it doesn't.
Yeah, I obviously, if SJG Games were to want that, they would have to actually develop PDFs with capacity to do that. I was mostly wondering if there exists somewhere in Fantasy Grounds for any game system, people have uploaded the rule books in such a way you click through to the page references.
Would it be possible to have those uploads be not persistent? I'm thinking about from an IP perspective. You upload them, they're always there, yada, yada, yada. But if you could manually drag them in there and then they went away, and then, start another game, okay, get the PDFs that we need in there. I'm just... Something to think about, and I know that Daniel has been thinking about it, is how one prevents that. I guess you'd have to do it from inside. You could do it from inside the program, I guess, but it would be interesting to just sort of basically say, oh, I'm gonna use my special pyramid to upload my personal copy of the PDF, my character, and it's that way. If you want to reference it, you upload your own stuff.
You could do that, yeah.
They do have modules, and those can be switched on and off. So that's probably what I would do at this point if I were trying to do something like that.
So the spells work just like the skills, but it's got a few extra drop downs and subsections for stuff that's relevant for spells. Moving on to the powers. Now the powers works in exactly the same way as the skills and spells. So if you had a power and you had an activation or something like that, then you could put details of that. Now going to the others tab. Going back to that, the trait where it was, what was it?
Obsession.
Obsession?
Yeah, sure, why not? There's self-control roll of 12 or less there, and I was wondering how to roll that simply. I mean, obviously we could just pull a dice roller and just say 3 dice.
You could, but the way we do it is if you click on the little brown slash icon there, you'll get the plus icon that comes up. If you just hit plus, you should be able to write obsession, and then in the level box you can put 12, and of course it's a 0 point thing, so there's no points associated with this, it's just a roll. So so you just type in obsession 12 or less, and then you would roll that as you would a skill, and then you have...
There we go. Yep. Right. Very straightforward. Okay.
Yeah, I put fright checks and unconsciousness checks and that sort of thing in there.
Mass combat,
Mass
misfortunes of war and all that sort of stuff. All the stuff that's doesn't fit anywhere else. Now, before we go on, you'll see down next to the modifiers box, there should be an all-seeing eye icon. Is everyone seeing that one?
Yeah. Sorry, which tab are we looking at now?
It's not on the character sheet. It's on the actual sort of Fairness Grounds
Under
interface
the
next.
chat window.
Oh yeah, okay.
All right, we call that the box. But what it means is you can make a roll that only the GM sees. So if it was a, say your obsession was an enemy or a reaction roll, for example, the GM could ask the player, give me a reaction roll into the box. So you just simply drag the dice on top of that all-seeing eye icon and it'll make the roll and only the GM will see it. So, and that works for all rolls. So if you just want to have a test of that so you can see it, how it works, just like that. So I see the result of that roll and I can share that roll with you now. So anytime the GM says, you know, give me a reaction roll or, you know, a stealth roll or detect lies or rolls like that you know, the players shouldn't know the result, you can roll, the GM can ask for the roll to be done in the box.
Yeah, that's,
How do you do that again? I'm sorry, how do you do that again? I got distracted by a chat from work.
You just drag your roll onto the all-seeing eye.
The bottom left.
On the bottom left, yep.
Got it. Okay.
And that can be done for all rolls.
Just as a total side note there, the chat window and that box and the modifier box can all be moved. If you right click, there's an option to unlock it, and then you can drag it somewhere else on the desktop and then lock it back down.
Oh, nice. Okay.
All right, so we'll move on to the combat tab of the character sheet now. Here we have your combat details, so things like your dodge, parry, block, move, current hit points and current fatigue. You've also got melee combat options, so I'm looking at Zeph at the moment. Zeph's primary weapon is the short staff. So if you click on the little down arrow for, say, the short staff, you'll see you have your different attack options there, a swing and a thrust. And it works just like, you know, all your other rolls. So you can drag it onto the chat or you can double click if it's got the little icon there. And that's the same for parry. So if you're using the weapon, you can roll from the parry box there. So if you just want to try that. So just make a skill roll, or say swing your short staff, double click the level, and then give me a damage roll and a parry roll, so you can see the result.
Okay.
And remember, to get to that, you need to click the little sort of down arrow icon that's next to the.
Yeah, I see.
Just like that.
Yeah. Okay, I have a question. The character's defenses, are not the same as the ones, say, on the visual character sheet that I developed for the character. I'm just sort of curious why they're modified, whether they're different.
GCA probably messed it up.
Yeah. So we created the characters in GCA and then didn't export from there. So
got it.
There's probably some details that have not been factored in or something like that.
Probably, yeah, not a problem.
But if you need to dodge, parry, block, so those can be changed. So if you're doing a parry with your short staff all the time, instead of having to go down to the parry in the actual short staff area, you could go and set that parry in the defense section there to whatever it is for your short staff.
Yeah.
So they're all configurable, and it's just a double click to roll a dodge, for example. With the case of Zeph, you'll see there's a death touch there. Now you've got a few different modes there. So you've got a death touch, with 1 fatigue, 2 fatigue, and 3 fatigue. So you can roll from the various sections depending on how many fatigue you've pumped into your death touch. Does that all make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Okay, the range combat, unfortunately Zeph doesn't have a ranged combat weapon, but it works exactly the same. I'll just quickly make something there for you.
Yeah, it seems evident how it would work.
Yeah, and the cool thing there with the range stuff is it's got the recoil stuff built in, as we see all the time in our Traveler game. So it's like, oh, 3 possible hits, awesome.
Alright, so I've just given Zeph a ridiculous bow there. You'll see that it's actually calculating, based off your rate of fire, how many hits you've got when factoring recoil and such. So if this was a firearm, then you would have different modes of attack. Just 1 shot, 3 shots, full burst, whatever, and you can set that up. For each weapon.
Right.
And boy, do I.
Very useful. I'll just delete that one, so it's not. Oh, I'll leave it there. It doesn't really matter.
I'll put my eye out. I'll shoot my eye out if you leave it there.
Alright, if you go to the protection tab, it is just basically a list of all your different protection and DR defense bonuses. So if you have a shield, you'd put a shield there, some details about it, the defense bonus of that shield, and stuff. It's fairly straightforward.
Right, so that's absent for this character, so obviously...
Zeph should have it. At the moment, GCA doesn't export the name of the armor. So you'll see it's exporting the DRs, but it's not actually doing the name.
Yeah. It's slightly dodgy. Like, it hasn't added the DR1 to the DR2 for the skull to give 3. It's given 2 instead. And likewise, it's left off the hands for some reason, even though she's obviously wearing a full set of clothing.
Yeah, so that would be a GCA thing. So I guess the full suit doesn't cover the hands or whatever.
Yeah, sure. I understand GCA is going to import export in strange ways. Like, for example, the character has a little small shield, defense bonus of 1, and it's not shown up in the column. That seems to be
That's probably, if I had to guess, because it wasn't equipped in a loadout or selected, maybe?
maybe.
Yeah, that's
Possible.
The thing is that once if Steve Jackson Games were to say, okay, Fantasy Grounds, go, I could easily see the GCA people just jumping all over it to make sure it does it right. And then you'd be able to test it with the actual program. So I suspect that would fix itself really fast.
So if I've just added the small shield there, if you were to do a block, for example, you would just double click the +2 dB and then you would double click your block and you'll see it'll do a block with the defense bonus. So if you just want to try that.
Block.
Very nice block.
Waste.
Although you've double clicked the small
Yeah,
shield
my
twice.
mistake.
Doesn't matter. I rolled a 3.
Yeah, true.
So that's how that works. The remaining tabs are inventory and notes. So inventory is just your stuff. You've got the icons there that are next to each of those items. You'll see there's icons that look like a bag, a shirt, and nothing, and they're just cyclic. So as you click on them, they will change, and it'll recalculate your total weight and such.
Got it.
Now, what that does not do at this point is actually update your encumbrance or anything. So you still have to manually know what your encumbrance level is.
And you
But I
can
think
get
that's probably something we can fix, though.
you can get that from the main tab. So if your weight changes, you can just go back to the main tab and adjust your move and dodge. So if you go back to the main tab, you'll see the current attributes. You've got your current move, listed there, and then you would just have to go to the combat tab and update your dodge if your weight has changed. But that's something that could be calculated.
Like in general, I see, okay, this is a little error, I want to fix it. And I can just change the data just by clicking somewhere and changing it. This is that.
Yes.
Right. This doesn't seem to work, however, on some places. Like I notice, okay, the block should be 10, not 7. I can't seem to make that to 10.
You should be able to just click on block and then type in 10.
Oh, there it goes. Okay. Yeah, it's not obvious. There's no cursor or anything like that.
With the current attributes, if you move the mouse over your, say, hit points, as you take damage, you can hold down Control and then mouse wheel, and it'll, increase or decrease your current hit points.
Oh, nice. Okay, that's very handy. I can go negative and die. Okay, wonderful. That's good.
Yeah, there is a setting that will allow you to turn that off so that you don't have to click Control to use the mouse wheel for those things. But what happens is you end up accidentally incrementing things
All the time, yeah. I can see why that would be a problem, why you would that way.
And then you've got your notes, and the notes tab there, and it's got a point summary, description about the character, and in this case I've put like the design notes for the character as a character note.
To have.
And to read that, you can just click on the little all-seeing eye brown icon next to it.
The point summary does calculate based on the points in all the sections.
Man, I wish we could find a way to get it to properly sync between Fantasy Grounds and GCA, though.
Oh, that would be nice. Another side note, the the icon, the pyramid icon on the inventory sheet can be dragged to the items thingy.
All right, on the side.
It was
if
able
you've
to
got
be
it turned
doing.
on. I think it's the other way around, dude.
Well, I know you can drag from there. I know there's a way to get it to it.
Yes, all those brown information all-seeing eye icons, if you drag those into chat, that will share it with anyone that's currently in the session, so they can see details if it was important.
Unable to create window.
Maybe that's just for the GM then. Yeah, it looks like it's only the GM that can read
that
it.
ring of invisibility from magically being passed from player to player.
There are ways to transfer items, but that's sort of beyond the scope of what we'll have a look at today. There's a whole bunch of features that would take a much longer to sort of go through. But that's the character sheet in a nutshell. So we'll look at the stuff that's on the right-hand side of Fantasy Grounds. The crossed swords icon up the top right is your combat tracker. If you click on that, it'll bring up a list of your peeps, the current party members and such, and you should see their details. Now that can be the level of detail that you can see can be changed, and that's a GM setting. So for example, at the moment you should only see the status now, you don't see particular details. Is everyone looking at the combat tracker?
Yep.
Yeah, I see. It says healthy at the moment for all.
So now you don't see any stats at all. And now you see the detailed information.
Where's the combat track? Sorry.
Crossed swords icon in the top right. Now I've dropped a mook in the combat tracker. Now he's a bad guy. Now you shouldn't see his full stats. You should only see
There it is.
a sort of status indicator that he's healthy at the moment.
I saw that. I saw the thing, and because anyway, at least on my screen, that cross swords just looks like an X. I had to really look hard to see the hilt. So now I see it, and now I see it.
Then you've got the in the top right, you've got a plus minus icon. That brings up modifiers. Now these modifiers can all be configured by the GM. Phil has done a list of all the modifiers that we tend to use, and you'll see that they're all there. So if you're looking up a range modifier, you can just start typing range in the little search box, and oh, okay, I should actually take people through that. Everyone click on the library icon that is in the bottom right hand sort of corner.
Done.
Then click on the modules button. Now look for the GURPS 4E modifiers in the list. There's a book. If you click on and then drag to the left, it should open the book.
Huh.
Now if you do that for the GURPS 4E tables, that'll open the book. Once you've done that, you can close that data module activation window. While on the library,
Nice.
so while on the library icon, library window, you'll see there's some checkboxes that are next to things like characters, items, parcels, tables, and such. Just make sure that you have the tables checked. You're free to check them all if you wish. That's not a problem. But just so we can, I can show you the tables. Just make sure that one's checked. And if it's
that
checked,
automatically adds an icon in the right-hand column. Okay.
yes. Alright, so now if you open that modifiers, the plus minus modifiers icon, you should see all the modifiers that I was talking about. And then you can, quickly get to something by just start typing what it's related to. So, for example, range. If you just go to the sort of search window there, start typing range, it will filter down to the range modifiers.
Is there a way to nest these so it's like collapsible? So like all the different ranges could just be range, and then you drop it down to find the one you want? That's not how.
Not at present. It could be done. It just takes a bit of coding of the rule set to make that happen. But that's the way to find modifiers. And once you start using them, you know what's there and how to find it quickly. So, and if it's a modifier that you use often, you'll see down the bottom of the Fantasy Grounds you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Now they're hotkeys. You can drop modifiers into those hotkeys. So if it's something that you use often, you can just set a bunch of hotkeys up. And
so as an example, the GM could drop, if they were playing an action game, could drop the basic abstract difficulty into the one hotkey. Just hit the players with it whenever.
The GM wouldn't. The hotkeys are specific to the player. So the player sets up their own hotkeys. And you've got different levels of hotkeys. So you've got, if you hold down Shift, you'll see the hotkeys will change, as they will with Control and Alt. So you've got several different levels. And you do have quite a bit of complexity that you can set up with hotkeys. So you can put multiple modifiers. Say there's something that you do often, and there's several modifiers involved. You can click those modifiers and then drag from the little modifier box that's in the bottom left-hand corner, drag that to a hotkey, and that will set up, that group of modifiers as a hotkey, which is very useful if you're doing things that have the same modifiers over and over again.
Didn't
You can
actually
right-click on it to clear it.
Sorry, say again?
Well, I happened to right-click on the hotkey after I put a posture modifier down there, and there's a little skull that says clear it out.
Yep, you can clear it out and you can rename it. So you've got quite a bit of flexibility to set stuff up that you do often or use often.
Yeah, I didn't realize before, but if you drag a modifier to the chat window, you can drag it back out of the chat window, and it's active. It works.
Yes.
So that's how you would do the
that's cool.
VAD.
Okay, sure.
The other thing we'll look at is the effects. So there's a little icon that looks like it's next to the plus minus icon, which was the modifiers. It looks like a casting of a spell, and that's effects. At the moment I've got effects set up for dead unconscious, kneeling, prone, reloading, and stunned and mental and physical
Oh, I
stunned.
see. So these are status effects. Okay.
So, for example, if Zeph is physically stunned, the GM or the player can drag an effect onto a person, and then you know the current,
On the tracker?
on the tracker, or the if you're a player, you can just double click the effect, or sorry, single click the effect, and it'll apply it to you. Once you apply it, you can't remove it, but that will change with the next update that's coming out for Fantasy Grounds. It allows you to change your own effects. Effects that you apply to yourself, you can remove. But
So for reloading, it looks like there's a counter, 3 seconds or 6 seconds or whatever. Is that impacted by the turn order?
yes, it is.
Yep.
So, for example,
Sweet.
I'll get rid of some of these effects.
Because at the moment, Sir Ivor is in a bad way.
He's dead.
All right, so
He's dead, reloading, kneeling, and prone. I don't even know what that looks like, but it's not good.
all right, so the reloading, you'll see I'm going to advance the turns, and it's just going to be a full turn advance, and you should see that will count down. Whoops, it's reloading plus, it should be minus. And you'll see there that effect has expired. So now Ivor is reloaded.
He's ready. Yeah. Okay.
I need to remember that. Use that for aiming.
Well, aiming you would go the other way because
Right.
you could increase it. Next thing we'll look at is the tabs icon that is on the right hand side. Sorry, tables icon.
Yep.
And there we've got, again, thanks to Phil, a whole bunch of tables that he's pre-set up that we use for our games. So I've dragged into the chat window a human hit location. So if you, as the GM, I can drag these things and make it easy for you to utilize. You can just click on it and then click the little dice icon and it'll make the table roll. Now if there's a table that you use quite a lot, you can drag the table into the hotkey, or the table roll into the hotkey and just roll off a hotkey, making it really useful.
Where are the tables found again? In modifiers? No.
Nope. There's a green icon on the right hand side that says tables.
If you don't see it, you didn't turn it on.
Okay.
Are you seeing it?
I'm not.
Okay, so click on the library icon that's in the bottom right.
Library. That's the problem.
And you'll
I
see
did click on tables.
there should be a checkbox in the tables, next to tables there, and then that should make it appear. You'll see in the when you open the library window, you've got characters, items, parcels, tables, encounters, notes, and so on. Are you seeing that?
Yes. Oh, there we go. Okay. Opening the book doesn't. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, opening the book just loads the module
Got
and
it.
gives you access to it. You need to click that tables to actually.
That is an important safety tip.
Once you've done it once, it stays. It remains. So, next week when we come to play again, all your stuff is remembered.
Right. No, I'm just thinking of barriers to entry. Right. Once you've done it all, you're like, oh yes, this is great. But the fact that opening the book just loads it and then you have to say yes. Now that I've loaded it, I actually want it on my desktop. Is that's non-trivial. That's not necessarily intuitive. Right? I think was like, oh, I opened it, so I got it. I'm good, because that's what happened with modifiers. As soon as I opened the modifiers book, all the modifiers were there. But doing the same thing to tables doesn't have the and now it's available behavior to it. So it's a subtlety, but
Well, it
it's
would.
yeah.
It would. All the top section in the library does is switch on and off the sidebar icons. And if you had actually already had the tables sidebar icon turned on, you would have seen it. You would have clicked on it. It would have been empty. But then you went to modules and actually turned it on, and then all this stuff would fill in.
So if I just So if I decide that I never use these, I can turn that off.
Yep.
Not bother with it as a character.
Yep.
Okay, understood. That's no.
All right. So you also have a notes icon there on the right. These are player notes, so you can make as campaigns go on, you can make notes. You can share those notes with other players, and whatever. So it's just a matter of information. Like Phil's creating a note now, and he just shared it for everyone. And you can make your own notes and share or unshare, depending on what you want to do.
Right.
All right, so that's the quick tour. There's a lot more that Fantasy Grounds will do, but we'll get started and get you actually using your character, so you can see how it plays out.
Something else to mention for ease of use here. There's a color icon at the top right, the little palette. If you go in there and change your color, that changes it changes the lines that you create, and it also changes your dice color.
Because everyone wants their own colored dice.
But that makes it easier to see who's drawing what lines on the map when we get to that.
Right. That makes sense.
Oh, interesting. What is? I will say that right now I think I understand how the color palette works.
It's RGB. It's just additive RGB.
All right, forget it. Don't worry about it. I've got these bright green Dayglow nuclear Fallout Wasteland dice that'll work.
It's pretty straightforward, yeah.
The T icon on that is the text color, so you can switch it from white to black.
All right, so I've done a short sort of adventure, which we should be able to get through if we don't waste too much time. And that will get you using the character sheet and get you familiar with how it actually works in a session. I'm just going to clear the chat window.
That is a hell of a sign for an end.
They have to change it every now and again.
Alright, so 1 week prior, Lord Wallachia has chartered your party to recover a stolen magical sword. Your quest has now brought you to a dreary part of the city, and you stand before the house of the thief who stole that sword. Your investigation has identified a man of some talent and cunning. He is known as Radcliffe Shades.
All right. Now I have to remember how my character works.
Now, it is entirely up to you whether you wish to chat in text or using voice. I tend to find voice a lot easier.
I tend to use chat when I'm making random comments that really
Oh yeah.
shouldn't interrupt the flow of things, which is most of my communication. So,
Yeah, my experience after 15 plus years of playing various online games is the problem with voice is that everyone talks at once. At least chat is kind of sequential.
So, you're standing before this house. What are you guys doing?
This
Just a
Radcliffe Shades.
side note, the chat is actually saved as an HTML file.
Yes, so
chat log.
you do have a chat log, yes.
And actually, for those who want to live blog blog the sessions, that means you could probably export it and stick it right into your.
Yep.
That's
Yes.
really slick. Not live blog, dead blog.
And I did
All
run
right.
a game once that had no voice chat at all. It was all text. But it also took about twice as long.
All right.
So Uncle Seamus, what I was going to ask as Uncle Seamus is this Radcliffe Shades, do we know where we can find him?
You're right in front of his house.
Aha. I told you this is where it was.
Who's the big guy here? Is that gonna be Ivor?
I think that might be. Let's see. Do I have
Yeah, I
forced
think it's
entry? I
Ivor.
don't have forced entry, but I have a strength of 16. So, shall we just kick in the door and engage in total party kill Leroy Jenkins behavior?
Well,
You
we
can.
probably want to talk
I'll
to him
stand
first.
right back here.
I will get everyone to make a perception roll into the box for me, please. So for those that are not familiar, on your main tab of the character sheet, just drag your perceptions into the box.
Conveniently, my misfiring mouse double-clicked on my single click. Really having equipment issues. I'm almost 46. That happens.
Actually, I had a trackball that started doing that for me. I had to replace it.
Favorite is when I'm editing a manuscript and it's doing stuff. Oh, look! Now my paragraph is nice. Fine.
Alright, so Samar, Landor, and Uncle Seamus, and Zeph, you can all hear the activity of some people inside. It would appear there is more than one
He brought
occupant of this
bread.
house.
Outstanding.
The sounds coming... Seamus, you can... if you give me an IQ roll, please.
Success by 3.
Wow, you are a smart dude.
Really am.
From the sounds that sort of come from this building, you can hear that they sound like jokes and laughter. Of the variety that you'd probably have friends having drinks and such.
Uncle Seamus will suggest that perhaps if there's a party in progress, we can just crash it.
We could burn the place down. Just deal with them when they come out the door. It's so much simpler that way.
That is a proper Viking attitude. I like it.
No, it's a practical attitude. I studied magic for good reason. Fire is especially useful, and I'm really tired of hanging out in this dingy alleyway. It smells like shit and dead dogs.
And the dead guy hanging above us.
That too, but I don't really care about dead people. You can make a zombie out of them. They're at least useful. Dead dogs, not so much.
Suppose we could, do we have a rogue-ish? We have a sneak?
I think not.
Okay. I guess we could, we could just knock.
Well, let's see what happens.
Knock and say, land shark.
See. Oh, Samar. Let's send the Holy Warrior choir to the thief. That will be best impression. Nothing to worry about here. I know that's not how paladins are. I love paladins.
Oh, yeah. But that's okay. He's hanging out with a necromancer. I'm sorry,
No?
she.
Strange bedfellows.
Who's a necromancer? There's no necromancers around here. Perhaps in there is. I don't know. I'm not a necromancer. You're accusing me of necromancy now.
All right, on the you should all see a map there where you're standing on some stairs in front of what is a door. You can move your own tokens around. I've just used these tokens. There's a whole variety of tokens that you could use. We have Geiger usually make up custom tokens for our characters for our games, but these are just some standard ones that we've got.
How does one drag them or recenter them? Oh, never mind.
It's just drag and drop to move your token around.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to move the map, but this may be a
Unlock
the scroll because the scroll wheel zooms in, which is great. Keep wanting to use my mouse to drag the map around, but there's a joystick sort of function.
Oh yeah, I should explain that. The mouse wheel will zoom in and out on a map. You can resize the map using drag, the drag handles.
I will tell you that my natural inclination, rather than drag the window around, like grabbing it and moving, or right-clicking and moving, because that's kind of what happens. I kind of want mouse buttons to move the map rather than go. And
Bottom right.
I understand that. You're coming over from other games when moving inside the window moves the window rather than the pane. Gonna set your teeth on edge a bit. Yes.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You want it to act like an overhead view, like a third-person fantasy game. The thing is, though, this is turn-based, so I can sort of see why you would want that happening too.
All right, the door creaks open, and standing before you is the gentleman that you should all see there. From the description, you believe this is Radcliffe Shades. He looks at you rather suspiciously and then says, "What is it?"
Where is he?
My
Is he
bad.
at the door?
I shall put him there. Hold on.
Is that a nose picker pointed at me? Sharp nose picker.
Oh no, he's trying to stab our elf.
One of the things I like about the multi-hex icons that you get in Fantasy Grounds is that it does show how close standing next to somebody really is.
Yeah, personal space, dude.
My understanding is that you can have multiple tokens, and like if you wanted a 2-hex token for being prone, that's do that.
You could, but you would need to change the token. Every time you sort of change posture, it's a lot easier to use the effect.
Oh, look at that!
He's dying very quickly.
Huh.
So
yeah, the tokens are just graphics, so you can do anything you want with them. But there's no way to officially swap them unless that capability carried over. I don't remember if it did or not. There was a way you could set that up before to have multiple tokens for the same token, but never minding that. So, do you have a minute to talk with us about our Lord Cthulhu?
He sort of doesn't answer your question immediately, and sort of looks at you guys and sees that you're a bunch of badasses, and he's definitely concerned. He says, "No, I'm not interested," and he begins to close the door.
I will stick my foot in the door. Unless he's slamming it really hard.
No, he's not slamming it really hard.
Sorry. Didn't mean to do that.
Why are we after this guy?
He stole
a
our
magic
sword.
sword.
Right.
Exactly. Somebody else's sword.
Lord Wallaker's sword.
Perhaps we could discuss the missing sword instead?
With the mention of the sword, he immediately turns and runs.
Okay then, we're on now. Yeah, we got basic animal pursuit stuff.
I just heard the Donkey Kong music start.
Is there an actual portal in that wall?
Oh man. I just remembered how slow I am right now with that armor. Ooh, buddy!
Move 3.
Right.
Tank.
I need to get out of the way.
You need to shooting.
Well,
Aren't you like a heroic archer and stuff?
yeah, I am.
And shooting people in the back is very heroic. Please do it.
But Lou Gossett Jr. said in El Diablo.
Also, something to take into account on these maps, if you control click on someone, you should see an arrow. It'll give you the range and stuff like that.
Got it. Nice. Okay.
Does it also give the penalty?
Not
No.
currently.
Not directly? Okay.
But it's coming.
Okay, sweet.
All right,
How
so
do you make that go away? It's rather distracting.
just click again. Do exactly the same again.
Got it. Thank you.
All right, it is Zeph's turn. What is Zeph doing?
Somebody running away, and I can't even see this fellow. He's up in a corridor. I'm not, all kinds of men in armor in my way.
Sorry.
Well, let's go have a look at the situation, shall we?
Really should have posted somebody at the back door before we knocked.
I blame the GM.
When you step into the room, you can see that he's heading for the back door of this building. There is sounds coming from this room here, and I will show that room.
So just for time's sake, I am going to have a hard stop at 1 o'clock my time, which is about 45 minutes, because
That's fine.
I get to work and stuff today. So
All right.
All right, in that room, Zeph can see that there are a few people that are sitting around a table playing what looks to be a game of cards. There is drinks and there's some faces looking back through the doorway, a little surprised and curious as to what's going on. Zeph, if you've finished your turn, you'll see at the bottom of the tracker there's a little down arrow. Click on that and that will advance the turn and let the next person act.
Ah, yes, thank you.
speaking of me, I
Uncle Seamus will enter the doorway and take stock of the situation.
And you will see the guy running.
I suspect he's gonna outrun me. Holy cow, yeah, he's outrunning me.
Now I got a bunch of people in my way. Which is to be expected. Yeah.
I won't prevent you from coming through the door.
But you will prevent me from shooting anyone.
Thread the needle, you're an awesome shot, right?
Suppose I could sort of lie down and shoot between everyone's legs.
worked in Broken Arrow.
So movement here is essentially on the honor system. People aren't going to move faster than move because they're not supposed to. It's not actually hard coded into the map.
No, but it is possible to enable movement, so the GM must approve the move.
Got it. Okay.
But it's
I don't think we've
easy.
ever done that.
No, it just slows it down too much.
Right. So basically, if Landor there wanted to run through there, he'd count off 1, 2, 3 for the person in the way, 4, 5, 6, or whatever, and we'd all say, yeah, that's fine, because we all know who moves that fast. No one's going to have an argument because we're all friends. That's fine. I'm just curious. Oh, yes. Well, to me, fellow's running away at high speed. I'm not particularly into chasing people down. Will, however, stay out of the way.
I move 3. My fireball of moves is move lots.
Is there any quick way to change chasing, or is it just constantly click on rotate?
Mouse wheel.
Yeah, mouse wheel.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Got it. Nice. Thank you.
I will also explain the drawing of pointers. So if you need to point to something, like that for example, the way you draw a pointer is you click with the right mouse button, then click the left mouse button and drag.
Oh, wait a minute. Ah, there we go.
All
Oh, me.
right.
Got it.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 8.
Uncle Seamus will take a step and start powering up a mass sleep. Turn 1 of 3.
Could cast that on my children tonight. That
Can do.
What are those? Are they like?
They're doors.
Okay.
Alright, so Radcliffe negotiates the doors and they fly open, so the hall is now completely, those doors are completely wide open. And he gets to there.
Well, it looks like he's going to make the back door, so I am going to hop the staircase here and bolt. Which I have to remind myself what my bloody move is. Yes.
Give me a dex
I
roll.
am fast.
I bet you're faster than I am.
Effortlessly, you leap.
the tanky McTanky pantses of us among us don't get anywhere really fast, but we're really dangerous. Huh?
Yeah.
I seem to be having some difficulties with placement. It's odd.
Is snap to grid on?
He's dancing.
Let me turn snap to grid
Yes.
off.
Is that a GM setting?
Yep.
Oh, I see.
Huh. I
There
think
you
it
go.
just got
Say.
itself into a weird state.
I've just turned snap to grid off, so
I like it better off.
Yeah.
likewise.
Sometimes. Oh,
All right.
right, done.
Intern.
Well, the fellow's running too quickly. Pickle this. A bunch of people and they're looking very shocked that we've even shown up.
Zeph. Both Zeph and Samar can give me perception rolls, please.
Yep. Like that, I guess.
Just like that. Samar, you can clearly see that the door that Radcliffe is heading for has a series of locks that are going to take him some time to to unlock. He's not getting out
Well,
that back
good.
door in a hurry.
Good, because I'm not going to get to him in a hurry.
All right, so
Shoot
Zeph,
the lock.
moving,
Yes, just moving. So
and then finish your turn. Yep.
Stop, thief! Clank, clank, clank.
So I'm being totally honorable and counting my turns and walking through hexes and such as extra movement points.
I'm sorry, Cat. I didn't mean to stop petting you.
Turn 2 of mass sleep.
All right, Radcliffe starts at the door, the first set of locks.
Wow, that scout is fast.
Like mobility is the job description.
And Radcliffe looks over his shoulder, a nervous expression on his face. When Zeph's finished the turn.
Stop, thief!
Stop, or I'll ask you about a sword.
Oh, I spun Zeph around the wrong way. Sorry. As I was zooming
Alright.
out.
There, I can turn in circles. The best of them.
Alright, continuing to cast mass sleep in case his friends come around the corner there.
You can hear the sounds of chairs being pushed out as people are standing. They're clearly curious as to what's going on. Radcliffe,
I'm
Seamus is
kinda
pressing
making a lot
himself
of
up
noise.
against the wall.
Radcliffe desperately is having a go at these locks.
Oh, I see. That being is telling me it's my turn. Wow, okay.
Correct.
Well, I step here and I start concentrating on. Oh, this man's annoying me. I gotta start concentrating on flesh to stone.
Alright.
Can you do that partially?
No, I'm gonna try to completely stone. He's not gonna talk. He's just gonna break when I hit him with a stick.
All I'm doing is a move.
So feel free to murder him before I do this if you like. It's encouragement. Think of it as encouragement.
Crap, I should have tried an intimidate. Oh well.
Alright, mass sleep is done. Uncle Seamus is going to take a step and peek around the corner.
Your spell will have to go off.
Well, actually, it doesn't have to go off yet. I have finished casting it, and I'm holding it, right?
No, which means it goes
But
off.
at any rate, I do
Yeah.
mean for it to go off, but I want to peek around the corner to target it, because I'm going to have a minus for how many yards away it is.
Sure. Well, you see people gathered around that table there.
Bear in mind, also it's an area spell. You don't have to see a damn thing. You can just say I'm targeting on an area this big, starting with this wall my hand's on right here, and there's no penalty whatsoever.
Well, if I make it another yard wide, I have to cast it for another 3 seconds. So
Oh,
I wanted to get the biggest group I could in a 2-yard wide radius for the minimum cast. So they haven't moved? They're all still around the table, even though
Well,
we've had
they've
3
just-
rounds of movement?
They've just stood up. You heard the chairs being pulled out as they're standing up. So there's a few turns of just curiosity and confusion, and then people standing up.
Then they're going to come out and Radcliffe is going to be a statue.
That'd be very intimidating. You said you wanted to intimidate someone. This will work quite well.
That will be intimidating, yes.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and cast it to catch the nearest 3 then, which is going to be minus 1, 2, 3 yards away from me.
Alright, make your roll.
And see if you brought your wife's dice tonight, Kerry.
And that is resisted on will.
It is health resisted, and I succeeded by 3, so they will have to do better than a success by 3. Oh wait, no, that's by 5. They'll have to succeed health by 5 or more.
The 3 that you targeted all fall asleep, collapsing into the chairs. At this point, the other people gathered around the table are quite alarmed, though they don't look like the fighting type. They seem quite intimidated by you.
All right, Uncle Seamus will
Sometimes
say,
yeah.
just
Right.
stay put, boys.
All right. It becomes clear to Radcliffe that he's not going to get these locks undone. He spins. The only thing he has on his person is a knife. His usual sword is not to be found, and he goes, "Okay, don't hurt me." And unless there's a need to go turn by turn, Radcliffe will submit to you guys. If you have spells that you wish to continue casting, they will certainly take effect.
Does it look like he's worth it if he's giving up? I'm not going to complete this spell.
He's giving up.
Yeah. I was only going to turn to a statue who didn't do things my way. Seems to be giving up, that's fine.
Demand to know where the sword is. She's an intimidating woman.
He says, "I don't know about any sword. What sword?"
The sword that you stole.
Tear his arms and legs off. Oh, that sword.
I have a better
From
idea.
Lord Walker.
Yeah, it works for both Fezzik and Wookiees.
No, I have a wonderful idea. It'll only take me a second over here.
Oh dear.
So he doesn't know about the sword, eh? So he says.
That's what he claims.
That's what he claims. Alright, well, let's just find out for sure, shall we? So it only takes 1 second to cast Agonize, but it lasts a good full minute, which is really a nice bargain.
I did warn you.
Yes, he did, but he doesn't understand how magic works. Now we're going to give him a first-hand lesson. I think it's only fair. So, yeah. Have a look at it.
Your agonizer, sir.
Yeah, exactly. Just so. So let's have a look then. Took. Resist that.
And that's resisted on health.
Agonize? Yes, health. Does cost me a lot of fatigue points. Now, that's a question. I want to take points out of, say, energy reserves or power items or fatigue as suits me. Where do I track all of that?
If you go to your notes tab.
Notes. There we are.
Sorry, inventory. Oh, you could use the note. You could use the notes there, your description, or notes. But I like to use the currency area of the character sheet to
That's
track
nice,
things
yeah.
like that. So if you have a power stone, you would just put the power stones there.
Oh, I didn't think about using currency for that.
Neither did I.
But your normal FP you can track on your combat tracker, or not combat tracker, your combat tab.
Yeah, makes sense. I was just trying to figure that bit out. Okay.
Your spell is successful, and immediately Radcliffe drops to his knees and is screaming.
Stop, drop, and roll, dude.
He's shouting, "Make it stop! Make it stop!"
Good,
He,
that's smart.
he sort of falls into the fetal position and says, okay, I'll tell you, but I don't have it anymore.
Had it at one time.
Those of you that are making your way from outside to in, you can do that. Not a problem.
Then where is it?
He, through the agonizing pain, he manages to get out a few names. He says, "I've given it to a fella by the name of Captain Salvador. Him and his band can be found at Thunder Falls."
Do we
the
know where
heck
that
is
is?
that?
If anyone has area knowledge, feel free to roll. Otherwise,
Nope.
you can roll IQ as your default, since it is your home sort of hometown, home area.
Wow, that's a good roll. Where are these rolls on Saturday?
I know 3 people made it by 6. This isn't fantasy grounds.
You, those of you that have succeeded your roll, you recall Thunder Falls. It is a place not too far out of town, and down from the falls is a popular fishing spot.
All right. Well, that'll teach you. Don't steal things,
From wizards in particular.
especially from wizards.
In particular. Don't think that the old man wizard's any less dangerous. You don't know what he's doing to the sleeping people while I'm here torturing you at all. You have no idea what he's doing to them. But imagine it's not nice and he's got a large stick.
And
Does,
a big beard.
Does Zeph give him mercy and end the agonizing pain?
Does he look like it's worth it? He's told us what we need to know, has he, boys? Well, until they say something, I'll just keep agonizing him. I mean, eventually somebody will tell me he's told us what we need to know.
I think he's done. He's bleeding from the eyes. I think he's done.
He starts telling you about all the pranks he played in the 4th grade, Goonies style.
Yes, that's fine then. That will suffice. I've got my dose of human pain for today. I won't start degrading this week. That's nice.
Yeah, so stop the agony before he tells us about his secret tattoo.
Oh, now you got me intrigued. No, I've already stopped it. I still think you'd have made a good statue, but
Well, he's still guilty of the crime.
aren't we all?
That's right. Need to drag him back to the nearest coppers and let them take him.
This man is a thief. Book him.
All right, so he has
Yeah.
given you the location of a Captain Salvador, who he he has told you that he was the benefactor of this sword.
We need
Paid
to
him
go
a
out
healthy
to
sum for it.
I was about to ask, how much did Salvador give you for it?
He says 500 copper. It was a healthy price.
You should donate all of that money to your local charities.
If anyone has detect lies or anything like that, or body language, you're welcome to make a roll in the box.
None of
I
the
have
above.
Yeah, I've got detect intestines. That's about it.
Yeah.
That requires a material component.
Does.
Big pokey thing. Hate to be the clock guy, but we're running out of time here. We need to kill something.
Got about 20 minutes. So let's head down to the fishing hole.
All right. You
All right,
depart.
we have a plan. We're going to go find somebody. We're going to kick their teeth in and take the sword back.
That is the plan.
Absolutely.
So say we all.
So,
It's a rather pretty map, this one.
Taking a while. Better be a pretty map.
It's also a big map.
Oh
who
yeah,
made
this
these,
one.
Who made these maps?
The internet.
Okay.
Just Google searches.
I have need of a couple maps for my own publishing needs.
Right.
Oh crap, crossbows.
Big map. Goodness. All right.
All right, you'll
It
see.
won't. It won't necessarily be. I'm just going to make a suggestion here. It won't. Well, all right. I was going to say there's a lot of distance between us and bad guys.
Yeah.
And given the time constraints, even though it won't be optimal, right, we could spend, it looks like 12 or 13 turns just getting there.
We won't be going by turns unless that's something that you wanted to do.
Good
I
lord,
would-
no.
Bit of a question. The scale's quite large. Sorry, quite fine. And we're standing way down here, and I want to zoom in to see the individual hexes.
Mouse wheel.
Yeah, that's fine. And can I drag at this scale, or do I have to zoom out? Drag and in a different point. For
Yeah,
instance,
you
I'm
can
zoom.
drag.
You see what I'm
Drag.
saying? I'm zoomed in on us. I want to drag north and look at the falls without changing scale or zooming out or anything. Is it possible?
Right.
Yes, you can hold down the middle mouse button and drag the map around, or you can use the little icon that's in the bottom right.
No, middle
So
mouse
you
is
can,
perfect.
so
It's
you can
exactly
do what I
wanted.
wanted to do. All right.
Yeah, I like middle mouse. That's nice.
That never occurs to me because I never have a middle mouse button.
Yeah, given my druthers, and this may be a fantasy grounds default that you can't change, but I really like dragging the map around. It's like prime for me, and not always having access or remembering a middle mouse button. That wouldn't be where my priority was. That was a barrier to usage the last time I did fantasy grounds for Alien Menace. Just one dude's opinion, but that the ability to just move the map around easily is really high on my list.
gotten so used to the drag icon that it doesn't really affect me, but I have a feeling if it got to the point where you could do that, I'd probably get used to that really fast.
Yeah, because the way that I naturally want to do it, if I want to go way up north, I'll use the mouse wheel to zoom way out, drag where I want to be, drag it to the center of the screen, and then mouse wheel in.
All right. So, given that we have a time limit here, it just so happens that you have caught Captain Salvador and a couple of his footmen unawares.
Time to go all murder hobo on them.
Do this. I call big guy.
Captain Salvador. Lord Wallaker wants his sword back. You can do this the easy way or the even easier way.
Which is which? As he says as he draws his sword and prepares for fighting.
Right.
He wants to do it the easy way.
Easy way it is.
Okay. We shall start.
Right.
The mock time music started.
And perhaps was it Leandor can shoot the crossbowman since you have a bow.
Oh, where's the crossbow?
Probably under combat ranged tab.
2 guys up there on the
Okay.
waterfall.
No, that changes my plan.
Ridiculous skill with that bow. We get to add your accuracy and everything.
What happened there? Oh, I'm on a different map somehow. What happened?
I just resynced the map, so you should see.
No, I saw both for some reason. I closed out the one. I'm good.
Yes, you can close the maps and close the images or minimize them as you see fit. If you need to reopen them, you can just click on the images icon that's on the right hand side.
Oh, I bet that's what happened. Is somehow I got a double click when I shouldn't have, or where I shouldn't have.
All right, the crossbowman was taking aim and was not aware of your shot. It is a hit.
Let's
Poor fella.
see. We'll call that random just for the hell of it.
Ever popular arrow to the groin.
That is actual groin, not just abdomen. I'm sorry.
Roll your damage.
Well, at least you got minimum damage.
However, I suspect he's very distracted.
Oh, right. It's down to me
Well,
already.
We'll see if he can go 3 days with an arrow through his testicle.
It's not much fun. Right. Oh, this fellow's right here, is he? Look at that. Well, it only takes 1 second to cast this, so I'll cast a flame jet. There we go.
We're very jetty.
And how many fatigue have you put into that one?
I'm going to, well, yeah, I mean, the casting is this turn, so, yeah. I don't murder anybody with it just yet, but I'm going to make it the full reach of 3 energy. So it'll cost me 2 because of my skill level. Duly noted. Yes, sorry. that bit.
Oh, we still forget about hitting the button.
The footman will attempt to parry but fail.
This is gonna hurt.
Dish out some damn.
Ow.
Right, I forgot about Samar's.
Blessed, yeah. It's like, ow. Yeah, it's interesting is GCA calculated, I think I did before, it calculated his weapon damage a lot differently than the Delver sheet. I couldn't figure that out. Oh, right. See, I
Turn.
forgot to hit the button.
Step and attack.
Yar.
Alright, there we go. Okay, so I have a 20 going for the torso. So I want to do a deceptive attack.
Open up the modifiers, the plus minus.
Minus deceptive attack. 2 penalty defense. No. Go.
Yeah, you'll use the penalty to attacker.
Got it. Okay, and I double click.
Footman 2 goes down with a failed death roll.
Wow, awesome. Margin crit.
Wow.
Since you took him out, how does Footman 2 go down?
Let's see. She hits him really, really hard in the torso. He's going to go backwards. Go airborne.
Airborne, and he will fall and disembowel.
Ah.
24 cutting damage. That is likely to make his life unhappy. Or short.
It is.
So I gotta tell you, that was really slick, right? I hit the modifier. I found out it was a crit. I went to the tables, found the critical hit table, double click on the die, know what it was, move back, roll damage. That was as fast as one could ever hope to be. That was good.
Cool.
Yeah, I've actually started using Fantasy Grounds and this stuff in my face-to-face group for that very reason.
Yeah.
Captain Salvador survives a major wound, but will be knocked back.
He ain't happy about it.
And succeeds a dex, stays on his feet. He grits and snarls at...
What was his armor?
He has DR2.
Holy crap.
Yeah, he wasn't
Stayed up
ready for
after
that.
33 damage. That's impressive as hell.
Yeah, that's like traveler damage.
Did I see that wrong? Your
Well,
damage was 12?
It was a crit.
Oh, sorry, it was
so
doubled.
Doubled to
Double damage,
24
Yeah.
cutting.
My bad.
And cutting, so that's 24
There-
plus 12, right?
Well, it's 24 less 2 for DR, 22,
and then plus
and
a
then
half.
1.5, so 33 points of injury.
Gotcha. Roger.
This is
Ow.
maybe a swarm of insects or something, in which case we've got a problem.
his death roll, he survives. Advance the combat tracker.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Gonna have to. I'll give it another couple.
All right, Uncle Seamus's turn. Is the sword that he's wielding the sword we're looking for?
Sure.
Ah, okay. In that case, Uncle Seamus will power up a 3-point stone missile and take a step.
You'll be able to throw that next turn.
Yes.
Salvador is not one to give up lightly. He will take a step forward.
Grimacing the entire way.
Right. Now, does that trigger a consciousness roll because he's not doing nothing?
It does.
Yeah.
And he fails.
So that was
sad trombone.
Yeah. There we go.
He falls face first at your feet, and the sword slips from his hand. The remaining guy is not sure whether to continue the fight or not.
We could convince
I'll
him.
suggest
Sean.
that he run.
He
Convince
will.
him.
He will be convinced because he wants to make someone at least roll and dodge or a defense. He will step forward and swing his sword at the side of Sir Wyvor.
Duck!
He's got like an insane high skill. He'll totally parry that and make it look easy.
That is a success. Since it is a side hex, you are at -2 to defend. You do not get your shield if you have a shield. Now, if you go to the combat tab on your character sheet, you should see your defenses as well as your parry for the weapon that you're using.
That's on Doug?
Yes.
Gotcha.
So Wyvor?
Sorry, did somebody attack me?
Yes.
Yes,
Side hex.
I am sorry.
So it's side hex
Yeah,
-2.
I got it. Yeah, so modifiers.
Now you can just actually enter a modifier into the box, and it'll accept that as well.
Holy
-2,
cow, I
there
don't
we
have
go.
a side hex. I'll have to add that.
And I can't use my shield, so I'm just going to parry. Success by 1.
Reaching back, you manage to catch his sword, and he's a little...
Can I rotate for parry or no?
No.
Yeah, I think you can only do that if you retreat.
Yeah.
Yep.
There was actually a blog article that I wrote about that solved a lot of run around weird situational things that was fun, but not important now. Oh, darn it. Yep, I gotta... No, I don't. It's not me. I'm defending.
Well, that was successfully defended.
Wait.
Zeph, you have a guy right in front of you.
Well, gee, and I went and cast a big flame jet. I've got to use it. It's a waste of energy right now. So let's just do that then.
Burninate him!
Flame
yeah,
on!
that's more or less what I had in mind. I just have to find my, here it is. Tuck, 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 tuck. So it succeeds by 6.
He will attempt to dodge.
Probably a good idea.
Well, I hope he fails.
With a dodge of 8, he doesn't do too well at all.
Don't
Unfortunate for him.
Burn him.
burn an
Yeah,
A.
that would appear to be what's going to come next. And for damage on that, I'm just trying to make sure I understand combat. I understand this is slow. Sorry, I know. Here we go. Oh, look, I can just double click on that. Oh, that's a success roll. It's not a damage roll. Where's the damage roll? That's the damage roll. I see. That's the difference.
That's better.
Got the same number anyway, but got 13 either way. But yeah,
That will
With
be
his,
enough to catch his clothes.
and with his DR1, he takes 12, dropping him below 0.
Ouch.
unfortunate for him.
Especially since he is just a mook. And will automatically fail his health roll on 0. He will drop down and slowly fry in Zeph's fire.
Oh, that icon there indicates he set aflame. I see. Okay.
Maybe somebody will roll him into the river to extinguish him.
I could always
And-
consume him. That'll put the fire out.
And for brevity, the 2 crossbowmen realize that their captain is down, dead, dying, or captured, and decide it is not worth sticking around.
Especially
And
since
they
it
will
happened
run.
like a single blow for the guys.
There's not one of the crossbowmen also have a stiff one that is a shaft with an arrow stuffed in his crotch.
Yes, he makes his way away with an awkward walk.
Ow!
They believe.
Ow! Ow! Ow!
Yeah, that's gonna be a tough one to pull out.
It's gonna be a tough one to explain when he gets back home.
There are jokes to be made, but we'll leave them alone.
Oh, dude, that's a barbed head arrow.
Yeah.
Ow.
Barbed head, he's got wood, it's a shaft. I mean, there's all kinds of bad there.
So we recover Lord Wallaker's missing sword.
Yes, you do indeed.
Hey.
We should take this poor bastard back to Lord whatever his name is.
In both
Wallaker.
parts of the poor bastard. He may die. I mean, unless we heal him, he's bleeding badly.
Oh, right.
Yes, he's at minus 22. So
I don't
Oh.
have fast draw. I don't have first aid.
he's hurting.
Yeah,
So
the
anyway, I gotta run, or else I'm gonna be late to work.
Thanks for playing.
No,
Thank you.
I'm really glad to see. I mean, just from my perspective, the last time I did this, trying to remember if I used Fantasy Grounds. I think the last game that I actually played was my Alien Menace campaign, and I used Roll20. Even though I did have the Ultimate license here, this was a lot smoother. Largely, I think, because you guys have done a great job of making all of the things you need to use clickable. I do remember the right click, find the circular menu was awkward as a GM, but I haven't seen that, so I don't know if it's still there or if you guys have fixed that up. The one thing that would help me understand whether or not this is something that I would use on a daily basis is to see it from the GM side, because if I'm running a game, I want to make sure that when I put get bad guys on the ground, so to speak, it's intuitive. Because I remember last time, if I did it a certain way, it wouldn't populate. You really had to have a very specific procedure for putting things on the map. And it wasn't intuitive to me, but that could have been me. But from the player end, and I remember this, Brian, the last time you invited me on this, this is a great experience from a player perspective for me, just because you can access all of the options, but you don't need to. The user interface is relatively straightforward with some big caveats on make sure people know about the middle mouse button for dragging the maps, because that's what people are, I think, do. But it really made a lot of the optional complexity far more accessible than it usually is other games. So I really liked it from the player perspective.
The
Interface that you guys have
the
designed.
GM perspective is virtually identical to the player perspective, with a few extra things, like the access to the combat tracker, rolling.
It's really the
directly
scenario
from that.
building that is going to be the rate limiting step for right. Because if I'm going to use Fantasy Grounds as a game master, I have to populate the map, get a grid on there, et cetera, right?
Yes.
So that's where some of those, and putting NPCs especially and saying, oh, I need 12 orcs, so copy 12, that was a chore at times. Not necessarily within the GURPS version, but when I was doing it for a D&D game or something else, it was not cool. But that was literally years ago, so I don't know if the ability to do that has improved.
There was a thing for that before, and it's still there. The encounters, where you can load up an encounter and basically dump it into the combat tracker.
Sweet.
If you look at the recording afterwards, I'll send you a link.
That's great.
You can have a look from the GM's point of view and see how easy it is.
What do you think, Sean?
I think it's basically along the lines of what I was hoping to see. I'm very quiet, not because I don't care, but because I've got to take it in and actually think about it. But looking at it, the only thing that really kept getting me say, how do I do this? How do I do this? Was the actual character sheet itself, because things have been imported from GCA, and GCA is an imperfect tool. I like it, but it's got limitations from my point of view. I don't use it myself. I strictly pen to pencil, paper, always with characters. I never automate character creation. At this point, I could write a detailed character like one of these ones here, about 7 or 8 minutes in Word. So I just type it up and it comes from memory. I don't think about it. So
with Fantasy Grounds, there is the facility for the player to type in all their character details themselves, and then push that to the GM when that character is ready. So when you join the game, you can push that character onto the server. Yeah,
that sounds like a reason. Well, that's the sort of thing I would do personally. I like automation up to a point, but I'm aware of the fact, because I deal with people who actually buy and play GURPS all the time, that there's not everyone who likes that huge degree of automation. What they like is have the really tedious bits automated. So combat rolls, especially when you're going to do something like work out the fragments from a grenade on 15 different people, each of whom have taken between 3 and 6 hits, different random hit locations for different amounts of damage. That level of automation is really annoying. It's really annoying to have to do that by hand. That level of automation is very welcome. And the other thing people do like about this kind of thing is being able to actually see a shared image of what's going on, because Ebo and I play face to face and have a map in front of me, and I'm drawing directly on the map with a grease pencil or a marker, depending on the kind of map I'm using. People get frustrated. What's this little thing you've drawn? What is this? Where's this bit? And it's slightly less ambiguous here. And the most important thing, though, and this is what Steve has me looking into this for, is the ability to get people together anytime from random places and play a game, because that's what's actually not so great for RPGs right now. The commitment. We've got an aging market. Many people have homes, children, etc., obligations, certainly job. Doug just had to leave because of his work. And the idea that we could get together at lunchtime and do this sort of on the sly, as long as the boss doesn't watch too closely that we install on our computer, is kind of nice.
And you're playing with someone from Australia.
Yeah, exactly. I'm in Canada, and I know the rest of you. Are the rest of you all in the United States?
I think everybody
Oklahoma
is.
Here.
Alabama.
Hey.
That's awesome.
I think Doug was, Wisconsin?
Yeah, Minneapolis.
Minneapolis, yeah. Yeah, it's very nice to be able to get people together, but all told, it seems intuitive. But Doug was saying about everything being clickable is also important. There's nothing more frustrating with any kind of software, games or not, to see all kinds of wonderful, bright-colored, well-boxed, really nicely laid out things on a screen and you can't interact with them in any way, shape, or form, just window dressing. At which point I asked myself, why is it there at all? Why should I have that clutter in my interface if I cannot interact with it? It seems to serve no purpose otherwise. So more clickable, the better.
And I will say that one thing that is good about both Fantasy Grounds and Roll20 and not so much map tools is you don't have to worry about server-side nonsense.
Hold
Oh,
on, hold
yeah.
on. Is this where's the actual host right now? Which
It is
actual
on-
computer is
It is on my computer. It's on the GM's computer.
this? Is peer-to-peer.
Yes.
Ah, that is extremely interesting because I made it clear that I've gamed for many, many years. This is not my first barbecue, just the first time I've interacted with an online tabletop. And one of the nastiest things ever are master servers. I basically loathe them.
No,
I could
it's
not
the
possibly recommend a master server-based software to SG Games. Steve will want it to be either we own the master servers or it's peer-to-peer. The idea that some third-party company will run the server, I know Steve's way Steve thinks. He will not buy into it.
And the other thing is that you have to deal with map tools, for example. And I know that they're working on this and rewriting it, blah, blah, blah. But I remember spending an hour configuring the damn routers and ports and access and whatever. And both Roll20 and Fantasy Grounds avoid that completely, which is really, really good.
Yeah, I was going to say that Fantasy Grounds is also fairly forgiving of internet problems, so it'll pick right back up where it left off if there's a hiccup.
All right, so now here's the next question: how do I exit? Right click.
Yeah, if you just...
Perfect. There we go.
There you go.
So I am going to have to go. Thank you for inviting me. I enjoyed playing. I always do.
Awesome.
And I will taunt Christopher Rice and the rest of his Headhunters group with my experience, just because I like to taunt them about everything.
I'll
Yeah.
I'll also
Trash
send
talk
you
is really the most
a link
important
to
of,
the
yeah.
the recording so you can have a look at the GM side of things as well.